Please welcome the President of the Federation of Republican Assemblies, Willis Lee.
You guys got to hear from him, but being up on stage after Paul Brown, my day's already started right. So thank you, Paul. Thanks. All of you, thank you for allowing me to speak. Thank you, Alex Kay, for inviting me. Where are our publicly elected officials? We have any here tonight? You guys stand up. All right, got some here. Thank you. Thank you for serving. I welcome you, but they are here because all of you are here. They work for you. You all are here because you participate, and we know how hard it is to get participation in the political process. Now, I need to get a feel for you, though. Are there any conservatives in the room? You guys conservative? All right, let me try this. Which one of you is the liberal? No liberals. All right. Now, I'm not going to point out any of the media, but what I would like to do at the start, are there any veteran or serving military or law enforcement folks here in the room? Would you stand up and just let us acknowledge you? Thank you. Damn. Thank you for your service. Hey, I appreciate being here. We're in politics, so everything you hear, you got to take with a grain of salt every day. I am Willis Lee, and I'm a political operative, not a speech giver. So I want to give you a little bit of my perspective so you know where I'm coming from. I'm a full spectrum conservative. I am a Republican. Now my practice is hard right politics as the president of the National Federation of Republican Assemblies. We call ourselves the Republican wing of the Republican Party. Now, I'm reasonable because sometimes we need to use liberals, but I have no need and no use for compromise. I'll tell you some of where I've been so you know what my perspective is. I'm an Army brat. I grew up in Europe. I was raised in Virginia, south of the Mason-Dixon, where I met my high school sweetheart, Julie. Yeah, somebody understood that, my message on that. West Point graduate, airborne ranger qualified. Julie and I are still married. Both our daughters were born in Germany during the Cold War. I have a love for the United States demonstrated by extended service to our nation. I was a defender of freedom for 26 years. Fought in the Cold War, fought terrorism. Thanks. Well, we've got a lot of you all folks here. Went back to Germany, fought some terrorism, fought in Desert Storm. For 5 years, we served in the Puzzle Palace at the Pentagon with the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Now, I have an affinity and an understanding of Georgia. Considering all the places we've been, Georgia's checked several times, albeit one of those was 3 weeks for airborne, another was a couple months for Ranger School. But we lived in Hinesville, Georgia, which is right outside Fort Stewart, down near Savannah, for 3 years, one of which was Desert Storm, but the family lived there for 3 years. In the Army, we get used to making decisions which affect people's lives. So when we retired, I began grassroots politics with our local GOP. And because all of you are here, you're going to understand this story. Years ago, a friend wrote me into using one of my lunch hours to make phone calls for a candidate I had never heard of. The next week, I was stuffing envelopes. So I go home to my wife, and I say with dismay, I'm stuffing envelopes, I'm making phone calls. I want to be in politics. And my wife, who had been doing this all through my career, my Army career, looked at me and said sweetly, darling, this is politics. This is grassroots politics. This is what we do and what we have to do. I became a state chairman and RNC member. I've done 4 national conventions, been on the platform committee. But the establishment led me to the Hawaii Republican Assembly, which led me to the National Federation of Republican Assemblies. And now I work with ACU, we host CPAC, the National Rifle Association of America, and the Council for National Policy. In all these travels, what I learned, they never stop. The liberals and progressives, which is the lifeblood of the Democrat Party, never stop. That's why you're here. That's why your Georgia leadership team is so valuable. Kay Godwin, where are you, Kay? Kay's been a leader in Georgia politics, we're going to say 3 decades, and stop it at that. But she's been a leader in Georgia politics all the time. Jack Staver couldn't be here this weekend, an absolute grassroots leader from the Tea Party to the assemblies. You got a great, young, talented leader in Brant Frost, and your president, Alex Johnson, brings this mix. Right back here. Excuse me. He brings this mix of youth and competence to not only get conservatives elected, but to hold liberals accountable. And that's all important. One other person I want to recognize because she's special to me, a member of our national team is here, our national secretary, who is the president of the Tennessee Republican Assembly, drove down here to be with us today. Sharon Ford's back here in the corner. Give her a hand. Thank you, Sharon. In a lot of ways, thank you, Sharon. Sharon's my boss. What the liberals have learned about us and listening to that lineup, your leaders never stop. And that's crucial to where we go from here and going forward. 5 years ago, we weren't in power. And that meant we had to support moderates. And the moderates turn around and vote with Democrats. Now, the establishment and liberal media definition of a moderate, that eludes me. It's like taking somebody who's pro-gun and pro-choice and averaging them into a moderate. No, that person's a liberal. And those are the people that we have to deal with now going forward. We know Democrats aren't going to help our country, but the Obamacare repeal vote demonstrated once again that liberal Republicans are more dangerous to us than the Democrats. We need to drain our swamp. In all of life, we make choices. I choose life. I choose the Constitution. The Second Amendment is my particular interest. We all chose the Republican assemblies instead of starting a third party. We, the conservatives in the assembly, are told that we need to be nicer. We need to play with the other guys and not be so mean. What we're told is we shouldn't hold Republicans to the same standards and principles that we hold the Democrats. We're not a third party. We are part of the Republican Party. We're not the Tea Party, although I'll bet most of the members in here, like me, are members of the Tea Party. We are Republicans. However, we have a different job than the establishment. The establishment wants to elect any Republican, even liberal Republicans. It's a power thing. I've been there. I've done that. I get that. We're in the business, albeit the volunteer business, of electing conservative Republicans. And we don't care what the liberal media or the Democrats or the establishment tell us. We know conservative solutions solve problems. There's a reason God has you here today. And there's a reason he has me here. Now, I don't know what it is. He'll tell me at some point. But I know I'm called on to stand for something. And I know we are called on to tell what it is we stand for. We are the hard right wing of the Republican Party. And we hold liberals, just like Paul said, liberals, Republicans, and Democrats accountable. We elect principle. So for all you candidates in office or running for office, candidates, bless their hearts, can talk almost any voter into thinking he or she is perfect for the job. That's what candidates do. And I love them for it. And I love them for their silver tongues. We're not looking for talk. We're looking for principle. We want principle. We elect principle, not the person. So candidates, heed our message. We want principled conservatives running and elected into office. The establishment's going to tell you that you need to have power before you can apply principle. We know that from strong conservative principles comes that political power. It's the weak principles or the absolute lack of principle this last 8 years that got America in trouble in the first place. You have some of the best absolute conservative legislators here in Georgia. I travel the nation. I see these guys. I talk to these guys. They will take care of us, and when they do, you need to take care of them. When they vote the right way, and the ones who are here today do, you've got some others. I'm thinking Senator Josh comes to the top of mind. You need to support them so that we can do our work. And what we do is politics. And it's hard. It's simple, but it's not easy. All you have to do is identify your voters and then get them out to vote. Your assembly team's committed to do that. We need a bigger effort, and Paul referenced this. Right now, you need to sit and make a commitment. Just think in your head of your friend, your coworker, your buddy, your family member, and commit to getting them involved in this effort. That's one of your jobs today, in addition to going through your convention. Commit. It doesn't take any talent to be in politics. It just takes a desire to want to make change and want to make conservative change, especially when we have the presidency, both houses of Congress, and we're doing better on the Supreme Court. Now is the opportunity to take our culture back. Right? Politics be damned. We need to get people registered to vote. Now, this is going to surprise you too, about our churchgoers. 25% of our churchgoers vote. That's just like America. Even in this time of such moral issues, salient moral issues being decided in the political arena, only 50% of our churchgoers are registered to vote. Only half of them actually vote. So get them to vote. We don't want government telling us how to run our lives or influence our culture, but they already are. And we need to take that culture back. Now, I don't know what it's called, and I don't care what it's called. Obamacare has to go because of this influence on the country. The way that affects us, though, the Congress and the president made a promise to me, made a promise to you, to repeal it. Eventually, we'll replace it. It's got to go, but regardless, if it doesn't, we need to make sure they know how we feel at the ballot box next time. We don't want government in our lives, but it's already here. And there's some things to fix before we get rid of it. Planned Parenthood must be defunded. We can't stop the murder that they commit, but we should never, ever use taxpayer dollars to enable that. National concealed carry reciprocity must pass. That's common sense, but that's only a lead up to constitutional carry across the nation. Tax reform is an absolute necessity, and we need to pass that so we can keep the wages we earn and spend it the way we want to spend it. Hey, we have any pastors or ministers or priests here? I'm not going to ask you to stand, but just if you think about this, the Johnson Amendment has never been enforced, and with this administration, it's not going to be enforced. We're not losing America because we don't win elections. We're losing because we're losing our cultural values. Pastors, you need to speak out. You need to lead this charge. Now, y'all are not alone. All of us, and one of the reasons we're here, all of us need to spend time with like-minded people, conservatives. We're surrounded every day with liberals or in our own party with moderates, and that gives us the need for having this infusion. I get mine each year at CPAC. You know, I most often make the National Right to Life Convention, and you can imagine I was here in Atlanta for the NRA annual meeting. Excuse me. The assemblies are successful across the nation. So I'm inviting all of you, if you are able, join us in Phoenix the first week of October. We've got our national convention. Alex and his team will be there. It's going to be a great show. Now, if you want more of any of this, please check out our Facebook page at NFRA and our website. For me, I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Willis Lee, and you can like my Facebook page. I even have a website, www.willislee.com, kind of easy. But I'm going to leave you with this. If what we do were easy, there'd be 20,000 of us in this room. We lead, we make choices. I choose life, I choose the US Constitution, I choose America. When we leave this convention, let's make America great. God bless you, God bless Georgia, God bless the United States, and God bless conservatives. Thank you all.